I'm so glad we're not seeing this in Northwest Florida. And frankly, I'm very proud of Governor DeSantis for how he's handled this in our state. You can't turn the green spaces and public spaces over to people who are disrupting the flow of traffic, who are disrupting students being able to go to class. And I saw at Pensacola State College, they announced that there was going to be this big pro-Palestine rally, and I saw some of the pictures from it. It didn't even look like a raucous picnic. Everyone was peaceful and kind, and it's always nice when I see Northwest Florida being best, and I'm glad that we haven't been afflicted with some of the chaos we've seen in other areas.
It's been growing on the left for some time now, and we can see it erupting on our college campuses and in the halls of Congress. It is high time that this administration took a strong stand against this movement before it begins to do serious damage to American liberty.
That kind of hate and bias shouldn't be tolerated in this country any more than Islamophobia should be. Well, I went to college during the Vietnam War years, so I was part of some of those demonstrations, and I've taught on the UNLV campus for a long time. So I know that universities are a place to express opinions, to demonstrate, to peacefully show different positions. But once that moves from being free speech into being violence or harm to somebody else's rights or destruction of property, then that's a different story.
Since October 7th, we had over 5,000 anti-Semitic incidences in the United States just between October 7th and January 1st. The college campuses are on fire. It is so important for the leader of our country to be out there and say very, very strongly and clearly that this kind of hatred against any race or any religion is wrong. And with the really almost now a violent surge of anti-Semitism, his words are very meaningful and very important. Well, you know, you're talking to a former student protester in the 60s. So I have a lot of respect for passionate beliefs being expressed in nonviolent ways. And that's the real concern right now, because we see at these college campuses, these protests, which are clearly organized by people who have a lot of money. You know, when I was a student protester, you know what I did? I had a stick and I had a piece of oak tag and I wrote out my message. Now we see these store-bought tents, very professional flyers, so this is definitely some type of organized effort. Now listen, that doesn't mean they're not people who have respectful, passionate views, but it is not respectful to intimidate, harass, either physically or psychologically, another student who's trying to go to class. So that kind of protest really should have no place in our society.
And I think that it begins with just enforcing the rule of law immediately. You can't let these things get out of hand. I think in the summer of love in 2020, when those buildings were burned, if we would have arrested the people who broke the glass initially, the first person that threw the rock, wouldn't have gotten out of hand. I think these universities, many of them have responded very well. They've handled it with security. They've gotten to people who were trespassing off the property, and certainly people who were doing damage to property. And so I think local municipalities and leaders need to do the same thing, need to hold the line, enforce the law. And again, you got a freedom of speech, but you can't destroy property, you can't attack other humans' rights. And I think it's important that local leaders do that, and I certainly support them in the process.